Hey everybody, this is Reb. This is a repeat episode because we are not doing a live one this Tuesday, so we dipped into the old JT archive to bring you a classic from season 1, episode 14. This is myself, Mike Narge, Mark Orsted, and Narge's son Kylar previewing the 2022 Royal Rumble, and also one of our favorite segments we ever did, which is when we discuss who actually is the heel in the Mega Powers. So enjoy this, and we will be back again next week with our guest, Johnny Swinger, Johnny Parisi, whatever you want to call him, from TNA ECW. And so enjoy, and we will see you guys next week.
From Champaign, Illinois, this is the Jumping the Rail podcast with your hosts Mark Redmond and Mike Narge.
Welcome to episode 14 of the Jumping the Rail podcast. This is Mark Redmond from Tonytown, Champaign, Illinois, and we are joined as always by my tag team partner, the man who spit in the face of the Arby's Diablo Dare Challenge, Mr. Mike Narge. Narge, how's it going, buddy?
Doing well, sir. How are you this fine Tuesday? I had to think what day it was.
Yeah, they all kind of run together, don't
Anymore.
they? No, I'm doing good. It's been a fun week of wrestling. Good weekend with GCW and SmackDown, Rampage, everything. It looks like we have somebody with us here, and it is our third man in the car, Kylar Narge.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. You guys just did a McDonald's video on the Narge-tastic Voyage, which is kind of a detour for you guys.
Yeah.
Getting into sort of the fun food review world of the web. Sir, how are you? Hey, that's me again.
Did you know when it comes to food, it's never a detour; it's on the way for Narge.
Yes.
Yes, that's absolutely
Same with me. But
What's up, Dwayne? We see you, brother. We see you, brother.
Dwayne Carter is in the house. He's ready for correcting us, so he thinks, with all of our
You guys think Dwayne
mistakes.
goes out and drinks enough to get a koozie?
I don't know.
Dwayne, can you promise to everywhere you go carry a koozie with a Jumping the Rail logo on it, and every time you order beer, put it in there? When people see it and they ask you, "What is that cool koozie you have?" You can actually have a conversation. Can you do that, Dwayne? Just respond. We'll see it in the comments.
What I'd like him to do while he does that is wear his Bill Alfonso whistle out to the bar as well, and anytime he needs a drink, blow into the whistle.
Wait a minute. That pisses bartenders off.
Plus that's a
true.
signed whistle. You want to keep that in the package. That's a collectible.
Mindy needs a koozie. All right, Mindy. Well, we'll come up with a challenge for you because you also happen to hit some of the bars, I believe, and anything we can do to help promote this thing is important to us.
Yes.
And you go to the Mattoon events, if I remember, Mindy. That's one of your little corners of the world, right?
Yeah, I was actually going to go to the last one, but they wound up getting
canceled, right?
rescheduled.
Yeah.
They canceled the live one. Then
All
they
right,
did it somewhere
Dwayne
else.
is in. All right.
Sounds good. So we have a few things on the agenda, but first we got to get into a couple things, Narge, that happened that are not on the format. We're going ECW style, just, jumping the rails
Jumping
early.
the rail a little early.
So
Jumping the Rail style.
So this past Friday, it's Saudi time, for WWE. The next couple of weeks, they're going back over for Elimination Chamber. So, of course, that meant we get the return of the juggernaut known as Goldberg to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship.
I might be alone, but I love seeing Goldberg. I do. I enjoy every time he comes back. No complaints from me, Mark. I get it. People are tired of it. I don't know. It's nostalgia for me. Eric Bischoff actually said online he felt like Goldberg still brings the same intensity now that he was bringing in the 90s, and I see it. So.
Yeah, I do see that. I'm not even complaining that they're bringing him back once a year for Saudi. I've never been a big Goldberg fan, going all the way back to the '90s, but it does. He's a draw, no matter how you look at it. Even though he's 50-some years old.
Yeah, there's going to be guys out there, like I said, like myself, who enjoy it. I don't know if he necessarily needs to be doing the Roman, Brock. He could probably be used to put somebody else over. When he was working with Ziggler there for a while was a good thing.
There's.
Oh, good.
Is Ziggler related to Dirk Diggler?
No.
No.
I think that is where he got the name from, though.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But with Goldberg, there's people saying that he's going to win the title from Roman, and then they're going to have a 3-way at Mania with him, Roman, and Brock. I hope that's not what they do. They don't need it. Roman and Brock is a story in and of itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I somebody had suggested, I don't remember who it was, that he should win. Goldberg should win. That'd piss everybody off, and then Roman wins it back. SmackDown the following week.
I think Bully said that on Busted
Was
Open.
it Bully? Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure who it was. I'd read an article.
Right. But Goldberg is not the only nostalgia coming back for Saudi Arabia, because we're going to get Lita back in the ring with Becky Lynch, which is kind of a dream match for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, their expectations of Lita are much higher than that of Goldberg.
Yeah.
Lita still looks like she can work a little bit. So
Hey, she looked good in the ring Monday. She did the moonsault and everything.
Yeah.
It looked clean, so...
Any chance
Keith-
they put her over?
Keith Gibson, our good friend at Clubhouse Radio, wanted to say that he thinks Goldberg, I must be hungry. He thinks Goldberg is a good transition between Rumble and Mania to keep Reigns busy, and he draws in the viewers. Plus, the Saudi fans live on nostalgia, and it's good for the show overseas.
Yeah,
so while I'm
that's-
bringing up Keith Gibson, Narge, I believe you brought some swag from Keith for us.
I did, yeah. Keith, again, is the founder of Clubhouse Lounge Radio, which is going to be essentially an internet radio station. He's putting together all the pieces. He's currently doing a, Backroads and Barstools podcast or tour.
A little bus tour, I believe, around
Well,
Illinois.
he's got that, but
Right.
he's doing a podcast separately from that where he's going to different dive bars and interviewing the owners and some of the bands that are playing
Local
there.
musicians,
so
right,
It's kind of
yeah.
in your area here, Mike,
Yep.
or Mark, where he's
Yep.
talking. I haven't even been drinking. I've had like half a beer.
Tequila.
My
It's been snowy and cold, and our mouths are just not accustomed
I
to
may
this weather.
need tequila to function.
We may need Kylar to take over.
but
Kylar, what can you tell us about
He's
Keith?
driving.
Oh no.
So Keith said something that makes sense. Like, it's what it all boils down to is Saudi doesn't really keep up with the current product. They just want their greatest hits for their one show a year. That's the Sheik or the Prince or whatever.
who was it they wanted a few years ago that was
Ultimate
dead?
Warrior.
Was it Warrior?
They
Yeah.
wanted Warrior after he'd already passed on. But yeah, it's there's no pay-per-view in between Rumble and Mania. So yeah, he's right. They need something for Roman to do before Brock, and it makes sense to have Goldberg. Like I said, he'll put the butts in the seats, as it were, for the old school fans.
Yeah, and I think somebody said this is his last match on the contract, but I think he's
he's
willing
got
to do
one or
more,
two.
so.
I think he has one after this.
Does he? Okay, I thought this
I
was
think
it.
so, yeah.
But I don't mind seeing him. I never have. I was a Goldberg fan back in the day.
Yeah.
But him and Lita, I think it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah. The other thing I want to get into before we really get into the meat of the episode is the Golden Boy, Shane McMahon, had a little bit of a fiasco with the old man over the last weekend. He got put his booking pants on and kind of overstepped a little bit from the sounds of it, and got shown the door.
Try to tell his dad what was going on. That's happened at my house before, actually. Our special guest here has tried to tell me how things were going to go, and I had to tell him what's up, just like Vince did to Shane. So.
I'm going to take a while to guess Baker's done the same.
Yeah, but Baker doesn't listen when I tell him what's up.
He tells
just,
you to shut it.
Yeah, shut it and go away. So.
And, no,
Oh, you get go away now too.
Oh yeah, go away. Knock it off.
or leave me alone.
Yeah, that's true.
So usually the middle child is the bratty one, but it's the little one for you guys.
That's the little one. Yeah, the middle one's my buddy. He's my BFF. So. Mark showed me some blue dongle here. I don't. Is that what that's what your wife says, right? That dongle or
If his dongle's blue.
Leave my wife and the dongle out of this.
What are we looking at? Oh, it's a
Just show
battery
something,
thing. I
yeah.
think.
So
There you go.
what's your take on? I know what you think the long run move is, but I want to get your opinion on Shano and the release and everything.
He showed up and he was trying to put himself in a prime spot. Mm-hmm. I read earlier today he was up. I think he would have probably been more cooperative had his plan for WrestleMania not kind of fell apart before the show that day with Seth Rollins not being included in the Rumble. From my understanding, he was going to work Seth at Mania, and they were going to start that feud in the Rumble, but they removed Seth from the Rumble, and so Shane was kind of, I think he was kind of scrambling to keep, you know.
See, I thought it was going to be him and Owens again.
Now, from what I read earlier today, it was supposed to be him and Seth Rollins starting something.
Yeah.
So, for me, you know, and I know I'm alone on this. Keith, y'all came on and said, no, don't do it. Mark said the same thing, but I think AEW should come calling. And the reason I say this, hear me out here. Dwayne actually commented and said, never in a million years will it happen. We all said that about Eric Bischoff. We all said it, and then Eric walked right through the door.
You talking about Shane possibly going to AEW?
Yeah, even for a one-off. I mean, what's he going to go over there and steal? If he comes over as talent, you know, then you work with him as talent. I don't think all the talent in the company knows what Tony's doing at all times. So
Tony doesn't know what he's doing.
No, yes, he does.
Well, as I believe I stated when I posted something about that, you know, I see this from a purely corporate position, and I see if Shane leaves WWE under any cloud of whatever and runs over to AEW, I see some kind of financial workings going on. I see that as the motivator beneath it all, because I don't see him personally just crapping on his daddy to go to the competition. I think there's something underneath it at play, and I think it's financial. Either maybe because I think you mentioned Narge in some of the posts that Vince was trying to sell WWE to one of the networks at one time. At Fox, maybe, was it?
Disney, I think, is the
Disney, Fox,
current,
you know,
like, darling
they
in the
could
rumor mill.
try and sell it to ESPN. I don't care. Or, so maybe this is a ploy to try and get a little bit of an edge in there, and then AEW goes, hey, maybe we can buy them, or vice versa. But I see Shane, the son of the guy who is WWE, going to AEW as some form of financial ploy more than I see it as a wrestling move. Now, I could be different. I could be way wrong because y'all see it different, but I'm only looking at the big capitalism angle of this.
When we first started talking about this, I think it was last week, and you remember what I told you is I'm not a stranger to conspiracy theories and things like that. I said that'd just be too easy to have Shane just go in as a mole, you know,
Right.
So that was where my head went to. I mean, it's a golden axiom in wrestling: never say never, which is kind of the golden rule. And that's true. You know, Shane could show up there for a one-off. If he does, he will purely be talent. He won't have any authority or any financial responsibilities, I would imagine, for that very reason you mentioned.
And that's the thing. From what I understand, Shane's kind of been out of the inner circle within WWE for a while. The company is, if Vince keeps it in the family, it's going to Stephanie.
Yeah.
From my understanding is, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think once Vince dies,
going to
Nick Khan, but from what I read, it was Fox. Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor, actually is the one who was on the writing or something at one point, and Fox had came and said Vince wanted Fox to buy the whole thing at one point. I don't think the Khans need the money. I really don't think Tony's not in this for the money. They have money. They don't need money. He's in it because he's a fan. He's an actual legitimate fan.
Think of it this way: if Khan if Khan was said, hey man, you know, 100 million, 1 billion, I don't know any of the numbers. Okay, do you want WWE? He immediately gets access to a load of talent that has marquee names behind it, and he can start rewriting the stories in the way that I think, if I understand all this right, you like. AEW is doing a better job with the stories than WWE. AEW is doing a better job of hanging on to people, as Narge puts it.
50-50.
Hang on. When we get to the Royal Rumble, I have some shit to say. Trust me. So, but the bottom line is that if that's the angle, and that is to get it, and Tony's to buy it, maybe you're looking at somebody that can finally bring WWE back to its glory days by writing better stories.
Yeah, and
what do you think?
And if somebody was to buy it, I think the Khans would buy it from Vince before Vince bought it from the Khans. That's all. But for me, I don't see it that Shane kind of comes across as the type who might do something out of spite or just to be exciting and say, "Hey, I'll come over and I'll do a 6-month one-off, and we'll see because what it's going to do." It'll help AEW's ratings, but in the back of fans' minds, they're going to be like, well, how's WWE going to respond to this? There has to be some sort of response, which Mark will tell you that WWE doesn't respond to that. They shouldn't. They should ignore it. But if the son of the founder,
somewhere else, there's going to be a response.
you should have, yes.
Well, and hasn't WWE, I mean, traditionally, we had ECW. We've had many other professional wrestling entities. Didn't they somehow, as a rule, either they or at least their talent get absorbed into what is now known as the WWE over the years?
Only when they bought the company. Like, Vince bankrolled ECW for several years just to keep them afloat, and then he would sign some of their talent.
Under the table, nobody knew about this.
Yeah, nobody knew about it. Nobody knew about it until after they'd already went bankrupt, ECW.
Okay.
The WCW was just, they would sign talent that when their contracts expired until they bought the company,
and they were able to get it cheap because in the end, TNT, the Turner didn't want anything to
Time
do with
Warner had nothing to do with
WCW
it.
anymore.
Yeah.
So Vince was able to swoop in with not...
He bought it for pennies on the dollar.
Pretty much, and got a roster and the tape history, the whole thing.
Yeah,
so,
I think he wanted the tape library more than anything.
yeah. Because the network wasn't a thing yet, but
but
that was in the back of his mind.
They were making a killing on DVDs, though, back then.
Yeah.
The thing also, as far as them selling, they just turned in $1 billion earnings report from last year. So that makes me wonder if they might not even be inclined to sell if they're going to keep pulling in $1 billion a year.
I mean, if I could bring $1 billion a year, and I'd be like, I could probably hang on to this.
Well, and it's weird that came out right around the same time as all the Shane
Right.
stuff too. So they wanted to make sure.
Right. So with that in mind, we're going to get into the Royal Rumble. Now, you guys got to watch it here on the gigantic big screen.
We watched it live.
I was not here. I had an obligation I had to go to, but it was you guys and all of our co-hosts from past episodes. So just tell me, what did you guys think of the show?
So hang on. Before we talk about the show, I'm going to talk about this little divide you guys have. Okay? It's a real simple one. He believes everything, Mike Narge believes everything or very close to everything in WWE is so obtusely obvious. It's so easy to predict every little bit of it. There's no originality. There's no creativity. You know what's going to happen. And if you just even play checkers, but if you play checkers, you know what's going to happen in WWE and AEW. There's still a bit of a chess match involved.
Not really.
And I can tell you, sitting next to him during this Royal Rumble, he picked and pegged every single one of them. And I don't mean like guessing. I mean, like I said, that's what's going to happen. And then we did have some surprise people show up, especially the two, are they called the Royal Rumbles, the two big, like 30 on 30s or whatever? Well, they're 1-on-1 and then 5 people, whatever. Even those, even when they threw the surprise people out.
Which one of the surprises was the winner?
Yeah,
right.
You called that
Yes,
one, too.
He called it.
You
So,
called Rhonda.
I sat there and I was a little bit in disbelief because we were all, Kylar and I were like, in fact, we had a bet. He has a Boston Red Sox hat now. But the bottom line was Narge picked and pegged every single thing. And to be quite honest, Mark, it supports his argument that WWE has no creativity or originality if somebody can guess it all. If he'd have guessed 3 out of 5, I'd be like, okay, cool. But every single one of everything he guessed it, that means it's too easy to predict.
Oh, I know it's predictable. I can predict it, too.
But doesn't that make it boring? Doesn't that literally take away some of the excitement?
For the creative, yes. But if you I'll take Raw, for example, last night. They had some of the best pure wrestling matches that they've had in a few months on there.
And so that's where we differ. Is Mark is more the wrestling.
I'm more of the in-ring than the creative.
And even in some of the in-ring, he prefers more technical stuff. Where I
Right.
don't. I like the flashy. I like the death matches. And with AEW,
Hey, when I
yes,
go to a rock show, I want to see them perform. I don't want to listen to their record.
But
and
I don't want to see them die, though.
and so
Oh, I don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
like with AEW, for instance, it's just every week it's always something, and you're like, wow. Danhausen, for instance, that was a hell of a surprise.
I
boy,
know
that guy.
Danhausen was a long time. We've been predicting Danhausen for weeks, though.
But well, and we have, and I think everybody knew that. But just
Yeah,
the
it was
way
kind of
he
a
came
no-brainer.
about, it was like
I liked how they brought him out under the ring with the chair.
and
And I'll go Danhausen.
And now Wednesday they have this big signing, and it could be anybody.
Yeah, who do you think it's going to be? Don't say Shane.
I think the obvious, easy answer is Keith Lee.
Now he said big name though. Keith, and
said big.
I go Keith Lee. He's not a big name.
So if it's not Keith, then it's the other Hardy Boy. It's going to be Jeff.
His non-compete's not up though.
Huh?
His non-compete's not up.
If
till
you
March.
have, I don't. That's the thing, though. They're talking about big name coming in and shutting the door. He's wrestling Isaiah Cassidy, or is that his name? Is it Isaiah?
Who?
Whoever is debuting Wednesday is wrestling.
Oh, okay.
For it's a shot at the belt. Whose manager is Cassidy?
Andrade.
No, come on now.
I'm
It's
kidding.
it's Matt
It's
Hardy.
Matt, yeah.
So
And there's been some heat on screen between Private Party and Matt Hardy lately too.
But there's so many other big signings that it could be. I don't know. And like somebody said, could it be somebody like Ali, who's not really a big name, but he's still signed? Is he
He's
willing
still
to
under
come
contract.
over and? But that's what I'm saying. Are these guys willing to come over and break their contract and deal with the legal stuff? Is Tony willing? Nobody's ever really done that.
Is there any chance? And I'm throwing this out there as a completely out of left field, probably not a chance in hell type of thing. Is there any chance in hell that they would like sign like I don't know, Hulk Hogan just to like mess with the world?
Well, he won't. They could. I mean, Hulk could go. More than likely, Ric Flair is going to show up there at some point. But whoever is being signed is actually wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Hogan
And-
can't wrestle anymore.
And they have touted this as a huge signing. So
And usually when they say that, it falls flat.
it does. Christian, for instance, was a disappointment.
Right.
I think the easy answer is Keith Lee. I really don't know. The one out of left field who, if he's still signed, is Jeff Hardy. Those would be my two.
My original thought was maybe it's
Who
going
was
to
the
be
guy that just got kicked out of the WWE like recently?
Jeff
any
Hardy.
number of people.
That's Jeff Hardy. Okay.
And honestly, I wouldn't want him. Fuck him.
Who?
Hardy.
Why?
He won't do business. He walked out in the middle of a match and just left. That's not good business.
From what I understand, he had injured himself in the match. I don't know. There's so many rumors.
He looked like he was.
What if
walking
it's all
through the
story?
stage.
Well, WWE released him because they thought he was going to fail his drug test, and his drug test came back, and he passed all of them. So
This is marijuana.
Yeah, so
This
that's-
is PCP. This is your mother's,
That's
antacid.
That's all well and good, but if the guy bails in the middle of a match on an event, then I don't want him there. That's just me. That's just the business head in me. But
I got no issue with it. And like I said, I when you're AEW, you're not worried about that. You've got his brother. We've said it before. You bring in the Hardy Boys. You've got the Bucks, FTR, the Briscoes are coming. You've got all the best tag team. You literally have the best tag team division in the world in AEW.
right now, you're right.
Mark,
But they'll be
what
better if they have the Briscoes.
What if Jeff
No,
Hardy walking out was literally, for the first time in probably years, if I ask Narge, creative writing by the WWE, and it's all a big show?
They wouldn't waste that on a house show. They would have done it on TV.
But the thing, so here's the thing with the Hardys, and I don't know if Mark's read this or not. They released him, but then they begged him
Right.
back. They wanted
Yeah.
him back and wanted to put him in the Hall
Yeah,
of Fame. So that
offered
leads me to believe.
I think that was a fait accompli because of the drug test thing.
Yeah, and I think they were like, oh shit, we've kind of screwed up here a little bit. I don't know the reason for Jeff rolling out of the ring and going through the crowd. From what I understand,
Sorry,
somebody thought
Dwayne.
he hit his head and he was hurt. Now I don't know, but So
Right
who do you think shows up Wednesday?
So my original thought was Adam Scherr, Braun Strowman, but he was on.
He's big, so
But he was on Busted Open today, and it seems like he didn't really care to go to any of the big companies right now.
that's what it sounds like. Him
He's
and
doing the thing
EC3
with
have
EC3,
their thing.
The
So.
control your narrative business, and I guess they're starting to run shows too. So that was my first thought. I mean, the obvious choice is always Bray.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Bray? They got a history with Hardy, so that could be it. It could be anybody. I mean, if they're going with somebody who just got released by WWE, it's not going to be a big name because the big issue across the board in wrestling, there are no household names anymore.
You said Cross. Is that an option?
Well, he's doing the EC3 stuff too, but I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I like Cross. I think he'd do well in AEW. But
Like I said, I think the biggest name that we've mentioned here for a casual fan is going to be Jeff Hardy.
yeah, and if you're trying to cater to the casual fan, that's the guy to get. But also, I mean, I don't know. But we got to wait and see tomorrow night, I guess.
We'll be tuning in.
Yeah, I'll be
I don't
watching.
miss AEW. Raw, on the other hand, couldn't even find it last night.
It was on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, you had to,
He had the Olympics on, so they had the same deal with AEW when the playoffs are going. They go pick a different night.
I try to find where AEW's at, though. From what I understand, Raw was in the tank last night.
Raw was very good last night.
I saw the between RK Bro and the Academy. That was funny.
Yeah,
I
I like the academic challenge stuff. It gives you a chance to see Gable kind of come out of his shell a little bit.
I like that they're using him and Otis. Those were guys I thought were on their way to being released, and now they're kind of set up to be some prime guys on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
So.
I hope they get a good run with the tag titles. I hope they don't just drop it back to Orton and Riddle.
Nah, I think Orton and Riddle they've about ran their course. I thought that was the Mania match to make, so that's got to
Yeah.
I thought maybe in the Rumble that's where it would kind of break apart, but
Yeah, it could be. But, I mean, you have, I think, Match of the Night last night. I don't know how much of it you watched. Damian Priest and AJ had a match. They call it a contenders match. If AJ won, he gets a title shot for the U.S. title, and he won clean. And it was a damn good match, though.
Somebody had pointed out that, for months, Priest didn't have a gimmick. He was just doing the Archer thing, and he went undefeated. And now that he has a gimmick, the personality thing, he's staring at the lights all the time.
He's not staring at the lights. He's getting DQ'd because he's doing the split personality thing. That's different.
Yeah.
But
an L's an L, man.
Yeah, I know. The money's the same if you lose, but he's still being made to look strong, though, with the DQ. He's not getting dominated or anything. And AJ, there's no shame losing to AJ Styles, no matter which way you cut it. And getting beat with his finish clean in the middle of the ring is fine. But
where's Omos been?
He's been on. He wasn't on last night, but he's been on the last few weeks.
Was he? Yeah.
Just been running through jobbers,
And see, he left AJ. They had the one off, and that was kind of it, right?
Yeah. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Omos. I mean, they're probably just going to go the monster heel route with him, But
they bring back the Andre Battle Royal just, to give him something to do.
That makes sense to me. I mean, what I thought they should have done is, down the road, not right away. I think they need to have him with Lashley, make Lashley the Hogan-ish babyface with the Giant.
Should they have MVP leave
I
Lashley
think
and go with Omos?
That could happen. I mean, if Lashley's going to go babyface, he can't have MVP with him.
No, and that's the only reason. If you want to go that route, I could see him fly because you got to keep MVP around. He's one of I think we'd all talk.
And almost needs
almost
needs a mouthpiece.
Yep.
But the thing is, here's my question: would they do that this soon after Heyman bailed on Lesnar?
Right. Yeah. All the managers kind of swapping around.
Yeah. So I could see them kind of stretching that out a little bit. But that also depends on if Lashley keeps the title for any extended period of time. He might drop it to Brock at the Chamber, and then do the title versus title. I hope that's not what they do.
Is Brock in the Chamber?
Yeah.
So was he the last man?
No, he's actually the first guy.
Was he the first one?
It's Lashley, Lesnar, AJ, Rollins,
Theory,
and Mysterio.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, everybody's saying Brock's going to win, and he's always your favorite to do it.
Him against Roman, title for title, right? That's what he wants.
That's
to
what
do.
he wants. That's what a lot of people want. And I wouldn't hate it if they unify, not if he's just going to defend both championships separately.
Which would make sense. You put the men's title up Sunday night, and then do the women's Saturday night.
Yeah,
Ronda headlines one.
Yeah, because Ronda's got Charlotte on one night, and then Brock and Roman the next night. That's your main events right there.
Yeah, and from what I heard, they're already trying to book next year, which is L.A., but they want Ronda and Becky next year, and Rock Roman, which we've heard Rock Roman for
But if it's going to happen, it's going to be in L.A.
Yeah, which makes the most sense.
Yeah. So, like I said, you called Ronda a couple weeks ago, so hats off to you for that. Everybody thought it was going to be Roman going into the men's Rumble.
Well, after the very first match, when I told Mark this, I said if he loses, he'll win. And when it went down with the DQ and all that, I'm like, okay,
Roman's keeping his belt.
The second Lashley won, and Dwayne actually said it on here too. It was a no-brainer that Brock was coming out.
Yeah, that's a given. So
which is unfortunate. It went that way.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't going to be Brock, who would you have wanted to see win the Rumble?
I said from the beginning, the one guy I think that deserves it the most was AJ Styles, who's going to put a good match on with anybody. Our buddy Joe, that's usually on here with us, had called Matt Riddle, which was the rumor that Riddle was penciled in.
That was the rumors that Brock vetoed it.
Yeah, and the thing is Riddle can have a great match with anybody. I'd love to see Riddle and Brock, or Riddle and Lashley, Roman, any of them.
Well, Riddle and Lashley kind of ran its course last year in the U.S. title feud.
I'd watch it again.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I like Riddle.
But Riddle and Brock, they've had this thing for a while, and then Goldberg's back. Well, Riddle and Goldberg, they could have worked that in. That's a feud that everybody kind of knows they've wanted. So.
There's a question I saw come up. Is Riddle with Orton to try to get him back in the good graces of the locker room? Because there's stories going around that he's kind of got an attitude problem backstage. I don't know if that's true or not.
Could be. Maybe they've put him with Randy, and he's kind of under Randy's wing. I think Randy holds a lot of weight. From what I understand, again, back to the Rumble, Randy and Shane had an issue in the back, and it was supposed to be Shane out at 29, but they played his music at 28. And Orton had told Shane, he's like, I'm not coming out to Here Comes the Money, so you better get out there, kid. And that's kind of what caused it. So Shane actually went out a spot early, and Randy told him to head out.
Yeah.
You know, who's Vince going to listen to? You going to listen to the $1 million talent you're paying? You going to listen to your,
Bratty kid.
your brat son who doesn't need the money? So,
Right. What do you do?
Speaking of brat sons, Kylar, you've been somewhat silent here, and I know you have opinions because I can actually see my headphones melting to your ears with all the heat you're generating. Tell us what you think.
I don't know. So, I think at Elimination Chamber...
closer to the mic, boy.
I think that Elimination Chamber, I think Roman's going to keep the belt and kind of make a joke out of Goldberg.
Okay. I think he's going to beat Goldberg.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What makes you think that? What's your keen sense of observation telling you that for?
I think Goldberg has just been around for a long time, and just a lot of people think that Goldberg's going to win, but I might be the only person that thinks that he's not going to win.
I'm going to tell you right now,
I agree
I'm
with
not
you.
betting you a hat on this one. Just to be clear.
It seems like Goldberg's in put everybody else over mode these days. So I'm with you. I think Roman's going to win at the Chamber.
Think he wins clean? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the Usos get involved.
I think they try.
Yeah. Somebody asked on here, Dwayne's all over the place. He wants to know if Paul Heyman will end up back with Brock Lesnar.
No.
I don't think now, maybe in the future. We're not going to get a babyface Brock forever. Mindy Elam hated Bad Bunny in the Rumble. I didn't mind Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny did a hell of a
Bunny
job
is
in
one
the
of
Rumble.
the few celebrities that can work.
Yeah.
So
And he respects the business. So
he does. And from what I read, he has an open door policy. He can show up whenever he wants, and they'll do something with him.
he's not under contract, Dwayne.
No contract.
But no, he comes in, he gets Sheamus out, which they could easily have him do something with Sheamus at Mania.
Yeah, Sheamus, Sheamus is a favorite of Vince.
Oh, he's favorite of mine, too.
I'm not a Sheamus guy at all. I think it's, same old with him. But him and Bad Bunny would be entertaining, and he's a guy, they put Bad Bunny with Miz last year and Morrison. Sheamus is another guy that Bad Bunny could do work with. So, but
Yeah. And speaking of The Miz, I don't think there's anybody doing any better heel work lately than The Miz.
how about last night? I did see that.
That was yeah, he got a little heat with that
Bringing
Eddie
up the
comment.
Eddie pop.
Bringing up the Eddie storyline, which to this day I still think that they dropped the ball not having Dominic hanging from the from the rafters in that ladder match in 2005. But I digress. Yeah, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised Brock won after he lost the title. I was surprised Ronda came out because I thought she had a few more months before she was coming back. I'll admit that. I thought she still had some child care to focus on before she was ready to come back. And I thought
she came out looking pretty fucking good, too.
yeah, she looked great. She did a hell of a job.
The problem with Ronda, and I love Ronda, I'm glad she's back. She brings a legitimate threat to the division.
She can legitimately kick your ass.
She, the problem is her personality. They wanted her to be a babyface,
She was acting heelish.
but she's acting heelish. She's come out mean mugging the crowd. From what I understand, they had a talk with her in the back after I think either Raw last week, not this one, last week.
Or maybe SmackDown.
One of the two where she was kind of mean mugging the crowd, and they had to pipe in crowd noise, like favorable crowd noise, because the crowd was kind of giving her pushback. Just
So
because
is she acting a heel when she shouldn't be? Is that what you're
correct?
saying?
Yeah, she
think
kind of got a chip on her shoulder.
Their creative wants her to be the babyface, but she's kind of acting. She left as a heel, so I think she came back in heel mode.
Yeah, well, and wrestling fans are going to gravitate towards the homegrown talent more than
Right.
the one that's been away for 2.5,
Almost 3 years.
3 years. So
I guess, though, if she works as a heel, like she is, as a former UFC champion, all that, she has an intimidating nature. And a heel, because baby faces don't come off as intimidating. They come off as the good guy.
Right.
The bad guy's the intimidating one. So maybe for her, it's hard to be the baby face.
Oh,
Here's
it
the
is.
thing. Her style hasn't changed no matter if she's working face or heel. She's always done that style.
She's always a badass.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
even in UFC, I mean, she was always the one
Very
everybody
intense.
loved to hate because she had that look.
It's intensity.
She
Yeah.
was kind of disrespectful to a lot of opponents too. She wouldn't shake hands, and so that's why they loved it when they saw her get knocked out.
So when does Conor McGregor try this shit? Because he's tried everything else.
It'll
He's
happen.
been a dick the whole
I don't know
time.
when. But
I'm
it'll
honestly
happen.
surprised. Yeah, the thing is,
I don't know. Midget wrestling on the WWE?
Yeah, he's only like 5'5". I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet because I think he's won one fight in the last 3 years, 4 years, or something like that. He's not.
Well, didn't he get like $150 million for the one fight he lost? The boxing?
The Mayweather one, yeah,
I mean,
he made a ton of money.
He made so much money, he didn't have to do anything. Now it's all
He
publicity
just goes
for him.
and sells his whiskey in Ireland and buys his ridiculous suits.
His really gasoline-tasting Irish whiskey.
I like
Proper
it.
number 12.
What's it called?
Proper number 12.
That's
I think
it. Proper 12. That's right.
But yeah, I don't mind Rhonda. Mindy Elam said that she agrees to disagree with us on Bad Bunny. She wants to know why Bad Bunny and no Finn Balor. From what I understand, Balor was out of the country.
he's back in Ireland right now.
Yeah, he was like on vacation. I agree with you. There's some guys that could have been in the Rumble. Cesaro, Mark and I both agree probably should have been in there at some point.
I agree, yeah. Nakamura, I think, was in there for a very short time. He should have been there a little longer.
My wife pointed out no R-Truth, who I always enjoy seeing.
He was busy chasing Dana Brooke around in the backstage.
Yeah, but Dana had time in the Rumble, so, R-Truth's always entertaining.
I love Truth.
That's a guy who Impact, they ought to let Impact go over to him. They brought Mickey over to Raw. They ought to let R-Truth show up to Impact. We've talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
With the bet, I mean, he was
their world champion.
a world champ, so be great to see him over there. He's the kind of guy I think they could afford to go ahead and go over
because they know he will come back. And, and he will represent the WWE well. Like, because Mickey did a hell of a job representing Impact in the Rumble. It was cool having her music playing. She had the belt out. They referred to her as the Impact Women's Champion.
Got her song.
Yeah. So they did more for Impact in 20 minutes than Tony did for Impact the whole time Kenny was their world champion.
Yeah, but Tony tried.
No, he didn't.
What?
He just borrowed their belt for 3 months and put it on Kenny and said, have Nakazawa carry this out every week.
Hey, he was on Impact trying to pop a rating, Tony brings butts to the seats, man.
Tony brings butts to the seats. Tony needs to bring butts back to Champagne.
That is true. I'm honestly surprised we have not had a...
Tony Khan, you listen to this. Bring Dynamite back to Champagne or Bannon.
I think the State Farm Center, or as the rest of the world actually loves to know it, the Assembly Hall, is a perfect venue for AEW to start calling a Midwest home base.
Well, that's the one. That's where they ran that one time they came to Champagne. But they're happy being in Jacksonville and with
Chicago,
the weather. I can't blame them.
Yeah,
they like Chicago
They
too,
do
huh?
like Chicago. They were at
do
Wind
like-
Trust downtown.
They like the beaches of Cleveland because Tony doesn't own a map.
But
apparently.
it's because Cleveland rocks.
It does.
Yeah, it
Their
does.
baseball team is not so great.
They were. What are they called now? The Guardians.
The Guardians.
Terrible.
Cleveland Guardians.
Okay, what's worse?
Almost as bad as the
Let's let-
Commanders.
What's worse, the Cleveland Guardians or the Washington Commanders?
You know, it's funny. So the Guardians name comes based on these two Guardian figures that are on the side of the road when you enter Cleveland. So for anybody that lives in Cleveland, there is an identity for those Guardians. I think of all of us outside of there are like, the fuck does that mean? But for those people, so I would have to defer to somebody that lives in Cleveland to ask, is that the right name? Because as an outsider, I don't think I get to choose.
You know what I would have liked?
What's that?
It's the Cleveland Wild Things.
Yeah, I would. Mitch, man.
Ricky
yeah.
Vaughn, yeah.
See, I wanted them to go back to the Cleveland Spiders, which was their name back in like the 1900s.
Right on, right on.
Before they were the Naps after Nap Latchaway.
Oh no!
Oh, there you go.
Not
There you
Mitch.
go.
Not Mitch Vaughn. Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn, yeah. Ricky Vaughn, Ricky Vaughn.
I mean, they had the logo already for him. The baseball with the mohawk. I mean,
They had everything.
so
Well, the Mohawk may have reminded them of their prior name in some weird auxiliary butthurt kind of way. The Washington Commanders, honestly, when they listed the list of potential names, it was one of the two that I saw. They said that makes the most sense.
I like.
Not that it's good.
What was the other one? The Red Tails or the Red Hawks?
The Red Tails was one.
There was Red Tails in honor of
The Tuskegee Airmen.
the Tuskegee Airmen, and I think that should have won. But I tell you what, I think had that have been the name they chose, I think you'd have seen this entire contingent of people that think everything has to be politically correct go off on that because it seems PC. So I think they chose Commanders because the Commander-in-Chief of the United States lives in Washington, D.C. Let's call them the Commanders because I think they felt that was the least offensive. And now, of course, people are giving them hell because, well, it's a dumb name. Yeah, they weren't going to win. They had no choice.
I know people were saying they should have gone with the Washington Sentinels, but I can't hear that without thinking of the replacements. the Keanu
Well,
Reeves
there's that,
movie.
but Sentinels to me is too close to Senators.
Brandon Hayes says Cleveland really missed an opportunity to call themselves the Steamers.
He is not wrong. Good job, Brandon. You're
Right
correct there.
on the button.
But do you know how many people would then have lost the entire ability to tell the joke about the Cleveland Steamer?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what's a Cleveland Steamer? Well, this guy's playing from this year. What?
And by the way, Brandon Hayes, when are you going to come on the show with us? I mean, you got some things you could discuss with us. So one of these days we're going to get you on here.
Yep. And Dwayne Carter, we've discussed this. Dwayne has to come down and become an on-site, in-studio guest one time, because I'll tell you what, of all of our and Mindy, I think we'll probably bring you up too, but Dwayne has been faithfully, loyally listening to us live since the first time, and he always has something to say, and I personally consider him my favorite person to fuck with.
He
but
logged in within 30 seconds tonight of us getting on.
But
And welcome to Michael Carey. Sorry, Mark.
He's
Mike Carey.
foolishly devoted to Daniel LaRusso, though.
Daniel
He's
LaRusso.
not-
Not Daniel LaRussa.
He's
No,
not
the
Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid.
Oh, Daniel LaRussa.
He's not a
Potato.
Eagle
Whoever he
Fang
was.
guy. You're not an Eagle Fang guy.
But no, he was saying that I forget who was the matchup was. He was talking about on Facebook, and I said that it wouldn't
Bruce
be.
Leroy.
It was Bruce Leroy, yeah.
And I said it wouldn't be Daniel Russo because he's a punk kid, and then he got all defensive. It's like he cheated. That crane kick is illegal, and you know it in that All Valley Karate Championship.
You know what? They didn't tell him it was illegal. It wasn't illegal. It's that
Miyagi should
simple.
have known.
Yeah, but
Miyagi's
the
a heel,
person's refereeing it said it was legal. That's it.
He was on the take. I know it.
Yes.
Miyagi had him on the take.
Johnny
Here's
He
an
waxed
Lawrence-
his
extra
car.
Johnny
Here's an
Lawrence
extra
had it
bag of
coming.
M&Ms.
Miyagi
Yeah,
waxed the
exactly.
referee's
Johnny
car.
Lawrence had it coming. I agree there. Although I'll tell you what, guys, just real quick as an aside, 'cause it's not wrestling, but that series is one of the few series that pops up, and as soon as it's going, me and the kid are watching it because it is just so great, and it's so reminiscent of the original movie, the flavors there. Although I do think, they need to come up with a little better because didn't they just bring in, like, the last season, they brought in the other bad guy.
From the
They're-
third installment.
They're running out of them. I mean, and now the Japanese
He's coming back.
he's coming over to be a helper, right, or to help. So it's like,
Well,
who do we
that-
got left?
Hillary Swank.
I'm waiting.
That's right. Next season,
we need
Next
Hillary.
season.
She's
Will
coming.
Smith's kid.
Hillary Swank next season. No, if Will Smith's kid is in it, I think there's a term for that. Happy Days. What was? Oh yeah,
Jumping the
the shark.
Hillary's
'Cause
literally
Jaden
the
doesn't
only
belong
one
in it.
left, though.
I'm waiting for
From the
a
original.
I'm waiting for a crossover episode with sidekicks. Get Chuck Norris and Joe Piscopo over there.
Oh, no.
Can't get Jonathan Brandis.
No,
Yeah, but if you get Chuck Norris in there, everybody else dies. I mean, it's done, right?
That's true.
But I agree with you. Cobra Kai I binge watched it last
still have to-
Saturday.
I still have to watch it. I haven't watched it
It's
yet.
so fantastic. Well, I'm sorry. At the end, somebody wins and another person loses.
Darn it.
So I didn't want to be a total spoiler, but I give you some.
All right.
What do you
so-
think, Kyler? I mean, Kyler's over here. He's been grinning the whole time, and he's laughing. You can see it. But, Kyler, you just have to get in that mic and just tell us what you think. You can't sit back and laugh. This is everybody. Get in here. What do you think?
I don't know.
Cobra Kai.
You want to talk about?
I've
you want?
never watched Cobra Kai.
What?
No, I don't let him. There is some adult. He is 10. Yeah, there's some
boobies going on?
suggestive
Oh.
stuff. We'll wait a couple years.
Has he ever seen the original movie, which was designed for 10-year-olds?
Bits and pieces of it we have. Yeah,
You need to watch the original
unless
Karate
it's
Kid
on his
movie.
cell phone. He
That's
doesn't
it.
care. So,
Oh, I get that one. Yeah.
you know what I want to talk about?
I know
Mark's
what you
probably
wanna
got
talk
a
about.
thing. I want to talk about the first guaranteed contract in Game Changer Wrestling history signed last night.
Uh-oh.
He's getting MD paid.
He's getting MD paid. Yeah, the King, Nick Gage, the first and maybe the last and only official contract for Game Changer Wrestling.
Yeah, Brett said he's probably the only one.
Brett Lauderdale said they wanted to sign him and said Nick deserved to have a contract that took care of him for the rest of his wrestling career, where he was kind of able to make his own decisions. So they've signed him, they've locked him up. Nick Gage is officially all Game Changer.
So what this means, if I'm understanding correctly, is unlike the other big houses, they sign somebody for a year or 2 years. GCW usually signs them like per event or a little
It's just
6
they're
months.
independent
something.
contractors.
They're
They-
independent,
they
so
get
they may
booked
fight
through.
this, may not this.
So he's
but now Nick
exclusive
Gage
to-
always will be GCW, and he's always guaranteed he'll have work and money.
Correct.
Right.
So that means his merchandising is about to take off.
Right.
Oh, yeah. The only thing Nick really needs to do at this point is hit the gym and drop about 35 pounds. He looked terrible
He
with
looked bad.
Hammerstein.
Yes.
He
Great
walked
guy,
out.
but-
He looked like he hit the whole buffet table before he hit the ring. I don't know.
Maybe that's why they signed him. Was like, hey, dude, we'll sign you so you can afford a personal trainer.
That's what everybody in the comments is saying. Is like, all right, now
I
that
am
now that
just
they've
joking,
signed you,
people. I
and,
don't know Nick Cage.
you know. But I mean,
Or,
he really
or
should.
Nick Cage. You said Nick Cage.
I tried to say Nick Gage, but my throat was so.
But, yeah, so speaking of GCW, a couple weeks they got another double shot going on, and they've announced the Hate Club and the Rejects for the tag titles.
It's gonna be fun.
That's going
to be
It's
brutal.
going to be brutal, yeah.
But what of Effie?
Effie, I think, is on assignment if you listen to KG over the
He's
weekend.
on assignment. Effie's working this angle on Twitter where he's kind of telling Brett Lauderdale, the owner, that he's tired of putting over these old guys for clout. Jeff Jarrett and Scorpio and Cardona and all
So
these guys.
Effie's like, how about we stop hiring those guys? Hire some real talent. Let's
Yeah.
have fun.
Or
Makes
focus
sense.
on the guys you have more than bringing in these outside
If
guys.
I was locking somebody else down in the contract,
Effie.
Effie's the guy. Jeff
Yeah.
Jarrett actually came on and said, out of the entire GCW locker room, Effie is the most marketable person based on everything he saw. He said he appeals to the masses between the Elton John song and his in-ring work and his character, that he would be the most marketable person on the entire roster. And I don't Jeff Jarrett has an eye for talent.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
So maybe Jeff Jarrett should just become a quote-unquote manager.
I think Jeff Jarrett's he's going to do a lot more with GCW. A lot of these older guys, well, funny enough, we're talking old guys. Did you see Marcus Buff Bagwell?
Yeah, he wants to do a death match.
He wants to do it. And Lauderdale actually said he felt like it was a fake tweet. He's like, I don't believe it. Wouldn't shock me, Joey Janela's spring break, to see Bagwell come out, if nothing for the clusterfuck battle royal.
Yeah.
But I think we see Bagwell WrestleMania weekend.
Okay, so assuming Buff gets a death match, who do you want it to be with?
It's got to be Nick Gage.
You think so?
Yeah. Schlack. If you're going to give him a death match, give him the guy. Give him the,
Put him with Cologne, see what happens.
Cologne, AJ Gray even. AJ with the Extreme title. I
Yeah,
think,
AJ
AJ
can
worked
work.
well with PCO.
Hell, put him with Janela in a death match.
Alley catch. Yeah, Janela's working everybody. They're literally, he's the other guy. If you had to rank kind of the leaders of that company, it's Nick Gage and Joey Janela. They're the top
definitely.
two. Alex Cologne's up there for his brand of stuff.
He's got that locker room leader role, but as far as like being the faces of the company, it's Janela and Gage.
I mean, they trusted Joey this weekend with Dr. Wagner Jr., who's
Had a
lucha
good match.
legend, so had a good match.
So there was some fireworks before the show this weekend. Dr. Wagner and Psycho the Clown had a little. Nobody knows if it was a work or shoot. I'm inclined to think it's a work.
And you'll appreciate this, Marco. These are lucha libre. This is what you
I
wanted.
love this. I want more of that. That's great.
Yeah, I think it's a work.
Because they had the payoff at the end of the night with the challenge for the hair versus mask match for LA.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
remember.
the
The Collective, I think.
Yeah, the Collective. I think they were talking
Like Gringo's show or something.
Gringo's show. How about Gringo?
Oh man, he was so good.
Him and Psycho the Clown.
That was
they,
the match of the night.
That was, wasn't it?
That was the
Yep,
match
there
of
you
the
go,
night for
Kylar.
me. Psycho and Gringo.
Gringo has grown on me. The first time I saw him, and I think it wasn't even GCW, it was AAW out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he reminds me of a friend that we used to have in our group named Chad, is who he looks like.
Chad. I remember Chad.
You remember Chad? This guy looks like Chad, but a little more overweight.
Okay.
He comes out to Drake's ripoff of I'm Too Sexy or whatever.
Right.
And he's got a belly. But the guy can work. He flips. He does. I mean, he fantastic in the ring, and just bled all over the ring like a stuck pig on
Lead buckets.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
So,
Can I tell you who impressed the hell out of me this weekend?
yes,
Sam Stackhouse.
I did not see him. That's the big boy.
That's the big guy.
He was in the Battle Royal, right? Or no, he
was. I think he was in the
Cardona. No, he's the Cardona Janela match at Hammerstein. He came out because he was messing with Swoggle.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Stackhouse.
But he
Swoggle, the guy that's coming to Bloomington?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's Hornswoggle or Swoggle? What is it?
Well, it's Swoggle now.
Okay.
But with Stackhouse, yeah, he was Hornswoggle.
Okay.
But Stackhouse, if you watch him in the ring, he looks like One Man Gang and Bam Bam Bigelow had a baby.
He's kind of a big ball of
He's a
mush.
big boy, but man, he's athletic. He's doing moonsaults and high spots.
He did that, yes, in the Hammerstein show.
Yeah.
He did a moonsault through the door on Dante Leon and beat him for the Loco Championship.
Dante's a guy that's kind of, I don't think he gets enough credit. He's pretty good in the ring. He's got some flippy stuff. But
yeah, he's got some. They got guys loaded with talent, but
Blake Christian
has really been really impressing me lately.
He's a guy WWE. I don't want to say drop the ball because he's not the build for 205, but nobody cares about 205.
They shouldn't have signed him, not because of talent, but because they wouldn't have known what to do with him anyway.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's part of the package. He is Cora Jade's better half,
right.
And they're kind of she's kind of the new AJ Lee. If you look at her, she's
they've kind of given her Darby's gimmick though, with the
Darby's
skateboard.
Gimmick and AJ's look, but somebody else.
She's got talent though. She's damn good in the ring.
Oh, she's great. Somebody else the other day though said, what was the difference between her and Sky Blue? If you've ever seen Sky Blue,
I have seen.
Very
Sky Blue.
similar gimmicks, look very much the same. But yeah, I don't. GCW. I told you the other day, it's just a buffet of stuff, and that's why they're so fun. You can watch a technical match with Gresham and whoever he wants to work, and then you turn around, you've got the death match, you've got Lucha Libre, you've got Cardona out here wrestling Ricky Morton. I mean, it's literally, if you don't like this, it's like Illinois weather. Wait a couple minutes, it'll change, and there'll be something else awesome.
Oh, definitely.
I'm happy to be on the ground floor of it. I feel like we've jumped on. Kylar and I went and saw him 2 years ago. Right around during the COVID stuff, we were outdoor. And I remember I told you about it. I was like, holy crap, we got to check these guys out.
Yeah.
And it's it's blown up from there.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of places we got to check out, you let me know that coming up next month, Warrior Wrestling's coming to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and man, they bring a roster.
Yeah,
Brian Cage is a big guy for them.
Ospreay is a guy.
Ospreay, he's the champ, right? Yeah.
Last I checked, he was still their champ. Yeah.
So be very curious to see, and it's a venue I've never been to before. I think it's downtown. I don't remember what it was, something Hall. But yeah, we're gonna look into
Hall.
that. Yeah. Hey yo.
So yeah, we're gonna keep an eye out for that, and hopefully we can get out there and check it out because I've been wanting to check them out for a while. But yeah, so. With GCW, they got a couple shows coming up, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, and I think one of them's going to be in LA, and then they got some good stuff planned for that. They got the Hate Club, and the Rejects is the one off the top of my head. I think Kogar's got Billy Starks on one of the shows.
Yeah, how's that going to go? You've got a crazy man and a 16-year-old out there. I like GCW promotes some of these youngins. Kylar, we like watching Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
Whose dad, Buddy Wayne, used to be a pro wrestler. So
West Coast guy. But yeah, he's grown on me. I wasn't sure what to think of Nick Wayne when I first started watching him, but he's really impressed me lately.
He's starting to bulk up a little bit, which I think was definitely necessary.
Yes.
The first time I saw him, he was taking bumps. I'm like, this dude, he's not going to have much of a career, but he's starting to bulk up. Another guy... And he's been working with him as Jordan Oliver. I told you, I think Jordan's awesome.
Yeah, they make for a hell of a tag team.
Yeah,
those two guys. That's right up there with when Blake Christian teams up with Alex Zane.
Yeah. Oh man, that was fun. They
had the Briscoes at one point.
Yeah, they made it on ESPN. That's the one where
they beefed on the door and almost killed Jay.
Did you see the promo they cut on that about being viral?
No.
The Briscoes cut one on the farm, and he's like, man, bro, you're viral. He's like, what's that mean? What's that mean? Their videos are great. Who's the one always snacking in the back? One of the brothers always has, by the end of the video, he had cheese balls in a video. He had a slushie.
I want to say it's Mark, but I haven't watched a lot of the videos. I listened to the promos, and Jay's the Wayne talker.
Yeah. When are they coming? It's got to be Evolution or Revolution.
Well, they got the Crockett Cup coming up in March, and they're already announced for that.
Okay.
And that's something I'm interested in because they're doing it. I think they're doing it closer to the original concept of the Crockett Cup. They've announced 4 teams already, and this is going to be in mid-March, like the 19th and 20th. And they've announced 4 teams, and they said there's going to be more. So, and the last time they did the Crockett Cup, it was just 4 teams.
Oh.
Because it was the Briscoes, Rock and Roll, Wild Card, and Brody and PCO. That was it. So this year, they've already announced the Briscoes, the British Invasion, which is Aldous and Doug Williams, La Rebellion, who's their tag champs, and Strictly Business, which is Latimer and Chris Masters.
That's not a bad start.
It's not a bad start. And Bully and Dreamer are lobbying to get put in as a team for that.
I'm okay with that. I think you got to put Rock and Roll Express in on their farewell tour.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, I don't know. They could easily put FTR in there. They could go across territories and just pluck guys. This is a 2-night show.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think Tony. They're coming. Tony's not gonna miss out on the Briscoes before somebody else gets them with that.
Yeah, but I wish he would have done it sooner because people are gonna forget all about that final battle angle if he's not careful.
Well, and I think the Briscoes are trying to keep that alive. All their promos mention, they're going back, but it's Twitter. You've got to do something else to, not everybody's on Twitter.
Well, they've been on Busted Open twice in the last month, and both times they've been referencing it and talking about FTR.
Speaking of the Briscoes, Ring of Honor's doing a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and they've announced 2 inductees so far. The first one is no-brainer, Briscoe Brothers.
Yep.
And this week they announced the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson's going in, which is another no-brainer in my book.
How many do you think they're going to put in?
I guess 5.
All right, give me the other 3.
Punk.
Yep.
Samoa Joe.
Yep.
And Homicide.
So all in-ring talent.
All in-ring talent.
Okay.
I mean, Kerry Silkin's going to go in eventually, but
yeah,
I think he'll focus. He doesn't want to. I don't think he'll want to be the focus to start with.
What was old boy's name that got busted on To Catch a Predator?
Feinstein.
Yeah.
It won't be Feinstein.
I remember that back in the day. But yeah, no, I agree. Samoa Joe, Punk, Homicide, great ones. Roderick Strong's a guy, if he wasn't under WWE, I think he did a lot of good work there.
He did some great work there, yeah.
What I watched the other day, Lance Storm and Bryan Danielson from
I
Ring of
remember that
Honor.
match. That was such a good match.
I bet that's right up your alley, Mark.
2006, yeah. Back when Danielson was doing some very similar heel work to what he's doing now.
Who are some other big Ring of Honor names for you? I know, Seth was there for a while.
Tyler Black. Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Austin Aries is a big one for me.
Yeah.
And then Nigel McGuinness is another one.
Nigel was, he was a big deal there for a while.
Nigel was a champion for a long time there. And then, you got your original guys like your Low Key and...
was Amazing Red there?
Red was there. AJ was there.
People love Amazing Red.
Yeah. Adam Cole,
Baby.
3-time world champion in Ring of Honor.
We got to get Murray on. Murray loves that. Murray loves him some Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah.
Merman. Hey, so I think it's a good time right now to take a break. And when we get back, y'all got to listen because these guys are going to fight to the death over the mega powers. And Dwayne, I saw you commented earlier that you have your own opinions. If I set up a Zoom, you want to call in and share your opinions with us live on the air? Anybody?
Last time he tried, he couldn't get the Zoom to work.
Well, that's not my problem. My technology job is here, not there.
Right.
But
Brandon Hayes agrees. Tony Elite needs to sign the Briscoes ASAP. I think it's a done deal, Brandon. I think he's just they're waiting for the right moment. I really think it's Revolution. So
that's really it. And I'm going to use a phrase that the Briscoes used today on Busted Open. Shit or get off the pot, Tony. Come on.
I think.
What if the shitter's full?
Then it's Christmas.
All righty then. With that, we'll be right back, guys.
Be back in 5. All right, welcome back. Narge made a beer run for a second.
BEERUN.
So this gives me and Kylar a chance to talk a little shit about him. So I know what he's going to say about Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, but you know he's full of crap, right, Kylar?
No.
Uh-oh.
You don't know, or he's not full of crap?
No, he's not full of crap.
Talking to the mic, kid. Be forceful. Yell at the mic.
Well, don't yell, but you know.
He is not full of crap.
So we're going to engage in the debate that we've been waiting for since the first episode of this show, because I have a very firm opinion one way, and Narge and apparently Kylar have a definitive opinion the other way, and Marko doesn't know either way.
Hulk Hogan rocks.
Neither does Scotty.
Thank you.
So we're going to finally settle this, the long-standing issue. Who was the actual bad guy in the Mega Powers explosion in 1989? And we'll give Marko a little bit of backstory. They started teaming up in 88 SummerSlam.
They were buddies, right?
They were buddies.
Yeah.
And it basically Elizabeth tore them apart.
Right.
And, you know, Hogan was horribly inappropriate and caused Randy to have... Randy had mental problems. So that just pushed him over the edge, and it was all Hogan's fault. So, Narge, I'm hearing an echo of myself, and it's kind of throwing me off. But
It's just a delay.
all right. You got to get that 7-second delay in, because
To make sure I don't drop an F-bomb. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine's
'cause-
doing the same thing.
God forbid that happens on this show.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Narge, so let's get into this. Hogan and Savage,
Yeah, brother.
you have the floor.
So clearly, as Vince intended, Hulk Hogan was the babyface in the entire situation, and a hero nonetheless. Randy Savage and his just arrogant, over-controlling ways with Miss Elizabeth, the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Randy Savage, I mean, Miss Elizabeth couldn't go anywhere without him. I mean, he was a control freak. The guy was a psycho. You said it yourself. He had mental problems. Hulk Hogan was there as a friend, a confidant, somebody for her to confide in. I don't see how you can turn this any other way, brother.
So real quick, Dwayne has said, okay, my opinion is this. Randy was the heel. Hogan never got out of pocket with Elizabeth. Everything Randy saw was because he was jealous and paranoid.
Boom. I don't even need to say anything
We have
else.
we have
Dwayne-
one vote.
Dwayne
for
drops
Hogan's
the
the
mic.
good guy.
Or so
Okay.
Hogan would have you believe. Man, is it me or is it bright in here? I got to fix something here.
Oh, look at this.
Putting the shades
If
on.
you guys could see this, you'd laugh almost as hard as we're about to.
So I'm gonna give you guys a little history lesson here.
Narge, you got the picture going up?
No, I was trying. You can't do it in the live thing.
Oh, he still posted the page.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but I'm gonna take you back to WrestleMania 4, Marko, when Macho Man went the distance in the big tournament and won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Is that 1983?
88.
88.
Wow, you were way off.
From the fabulous Trump Plaza.
Hey, as
Atlantic
far as I'm
City.
concerned, WrestleMania 4 could have been 1927.
That's
so.
true. That's true. But anyway, so Savage goes the distance, wins 4 grueling matches, all fair and square, because he is the babyface after all. And in the main event of the show was him and DiBiase in the finals of the tournament. And Andre is out there with DiBiase, and he doesn't do anything. Maybe Savage thought he might have been doing something, and Elizabeth goes back to the backstage and brings Hogan out to kind of even it up, you know,
As a
give him-
protector.
yeah. So Hogan attempts to try to get Savage disqualified in that match by jumping in and hitting DiBiase with a chair, and then going back out and pretending nothing happened. And after the match, Savage wins the championship. Hogan runs over, assaults Robin Leach, takes the championship belt from him, and
The let me go to the millionaire's yacht, Robin Leach?
yeah, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Wow,
Robin Leach was the
okay.
celebrity
Caveat
timekeeper
dream.
I
there.
remember him. Okay,
Champagne
yeah.
wishes.
So Hogan steals Macho's thunder, makes it about himself like he always does, because he is not a Hulkamaniac, but an egomaniac. That's right, play on words.
He's money, brother.
Yeah.
Just listen, Ted
He's Shrew
DiBiase
Bucks.
said so.
But, so, starting there, then he goes away, makes his movie, No Holds Barred. Great movie. We got to watch it sometime on the big screen, Marko. But he comes back when Savage needs a tag partner against the Mega Bucks for SummerSlam.
Dwayne, you talking about Marko or Mark Rebman, just to be clear, so we know which one of us is going to yell at you?
Redman. I can answer for you.
Yeah. So when the match goes on, Jesse Ventura's the crooked referee, and it's all going. The governor, future guest of the show, hopefully. But he's the referee. Everything's going smoothly for the Mega Powers until they got knocked out of the ring. I don't know how Hogan did it, if he slipped her a 20. He convinced Elizabeth to take her dress off on the apron, knowing that it would throw Savage off the deep end.
$20 inflation, so $87 today.
So Liz showing her gams gets enough of a distraction for Andre and DiBiase that Hogan and Savage are able to win.
Right on.
After the
Good
match,
call, Hulkster.
After the match, they're celebrating in the ring. Macho puts Liz up on the shoulders like he does, trademark Macho Man. And Hogan puts his hand on the gluteus maximus of the lovely Miss Elizabeth.
Liz was slipping. See, Randy was covered in so much baby oil that she was falling, and the Hulkster propped her up.
Macho has done that hundreds of times. He knew what he was doing.
He was off kilter that evening. He
Hey,
may not have been taking his meds.
I'm going to just tell you this as a gentleman. Well, just as me. If I'm standing behind a guy that's covered in baby oil and grease, and he's got a girl on his shoulder, and she even slightly moves, I'm going to make sure she doesn't fall. And if the closest thing to me to grab onto might be her back end, this is just a gravity support mechanism to me. That's all it is. It's a safety thing. I don't want her to get hurt.
It was heroic.
Hogan should have won a presidential medal for
Chivalry.
that.
All right.
It was chivalrous.
Chivalrous.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for. Chivalrous.
Let's go a little further then. Survivor Series, 1988. Mega Powers team against the Twin Towers team. Boss Man and Akeem and DiBiase, Red Rooster and... I'm trying to remember the other guy.
Ron Bass?
I just want to make sure everybody
Wasn't
heard your
Ron
snaps.
Bass. I forget. Give me a second to think about it and I can tell you. But in the course of the match, Hogan convinces the Boss Man to handcuff him to the ropes on the outside of the ring so he doesn't have to get in there and take a beating from anybody. That leaves Macho in there to get his ass kicked by 3 people. And then finally, when it's convenient, Hogan gets Slick to give him the key, give Elizabeth the key, and she unlocks him. He gets the tag, gets all the glory, wins the match. Haku, that's who it was. King Haku was the 5th guy, and because it came down to Haku and Hogan and Savage. So Haku's about to beat Savage, and Hogan gets a blind tag in, comes in, does the Hogan bootleg drop, everything, steals Savage's glory, and so there's that.
What this boils down to, brothers, Randy just couldn't get it done when things needed to get done.
You notice,
because
you've been a brother several times right now. You understand the undertone, right?
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, brother.
That's right.
So he had to tag in the largest arms in the world, the 24-inch pythons, to make sure business got taken care of.
All right. So you believe what you want out of that. Let's go to the Royal Rumble in 1989. Hogan.
So real quick, all of this we're talking about, is this the era where Hogan wore red and gold, or the era where he wore black?
Full-blown Hulkamania.
This is
Okay, this is still Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Okay, because at one point he went black and even darkened his beard.
That was
right?
mid-90s.
Okay, good.
All right, so Royal Rumble, Macho has a beef with Bad News Brown going at this point. They've been going over the loop and everything, and they've been having words. And while Macho was trying to handle his business and eliminate Bad News, Hogan came in from behind and threw both of them out, eliminating his best friend and tag team partner and making him look like an idiot.
What is the tagline for the Royal Rumble, Mark? Every man for himself.
But it's
we've seen brothers throw other brothers out. Right, Kylar? Every man for himself.
Every Hogan.
If I was in there, you going to throw me out?
No.
Why? Were you trying to win? Yes, you are.
I don't think he can throw you out. You're a big boy.
If you were in there, I would throw you out. Just like Ray would have thrown Dominic out this past Rumble.
Mike Carey wanted to point out that he ate his Slim Jims.
That's the problem. Is he was snapping too much.
He was too busy having.
But what's going on?
Beefsteaks
In the Rumble. So Hogan just keeps needling Savage as the months are going on. He throws Savage out of the Rumble. Savage comes back, and he wants to tear Hogan apart with good reason. And finally, Elizabeth sticks her little nose in the middle of it again and convinces him to shake hands.
It was a pretty little nose.
It was a very pretty
very
nose.
Dainty nose.
She was a very pretty lady. My brother wanted her poster on the wall when we were kids, but my mom said no.
Never a Liz fan.
I was always more of a Sherry fan.
I
But
stopped being one a
Elizabeth,
couple years ago.
It's apples and oranges. But I digress. So let's move on to the main event, February of '89. This is where all the shit goes down.
This is where he had lust in his eyes.
This is where he always
Wrong.
had lust in his eyes. But this is the one where Akeem throws Savage out of the ring. He lands on Liz, knocks her out, which is horrible. I don't condone violence on the ladies, especially a dainty flower like Elizabeth.
Unless they're female wrestlers getting into the business
Right.
themselves.
Exactly.
Yes.
Elizabeth was not a wrestler. She was not there to take bumps.
Right on.
So Savage, because he is a good tag team partner, gets back in the ring to continue
Dwayne
fighting.
has spoken. Elizabeth was beautiful.
She was, and I agree. But Savage gets back in the ring, and Hogan just leaves, gets off the apron, picks Elizabeth up like King Kong with what's her name, Doris
Fay
Day.
Ray.
Fay
Ray Ray, yeah.
I said Doris Day. That was an idiot. He goes back to the medical area for what had to be 10 minutes.
He was making sure she was taken care of.
They have doctors back there.
She
he could
is
have left her there and gone back.
She is an 80-pound lady.
And they
And Randy's worried about getting a win, getting the W.
Hey, money's money, baby.
Hulk is worried about her well-being.
Money's money. And
Kylar, what is your argument? What side are you on here?
We got to hear this.
I see Randy being selfish.
That's right. So Hulk taking Miss Elizabeth to the back to see the doctor was the right thing to do.
Yes.
What they should have done.
Was it a real doctor or one
No,
somebody
they
that
have
plays a
doctors.
doctor on
Doogie-
TV?
Doogie Howser, I think.
It wasn't Noah Drake
What-
from General Hospital?
What? Oh, you mean that guy?
Yes.
But what Hogan should have done, he should have thrown up the X on the floor, let the trainers and the EMTs come and take her away, and he can still focus on helping his partner win a match.
Should have thrown up the X and told Elizabeth he had 2 words for her.
Right.
Ah.
But this was a nationally televised main event with millions of viewers, and they wanted to see the Mega Powers because they were a hot act back then. 2 biggest stars in the company. So Hogan goes and has his coffee break and whatever, and trying to get his Emmy nomination for his overacting back there. Then he finally sachets out like he's the cock of the walk or something. And Savage gave him what he deserved. He slapped him in the face.
Slapped
Said,
him like
"Fine."
a girl.
So
Just
fine,
slapped him.
Fine, hot shot. You think you're a big deal? You can do it yourself. And he left.
It was a bitch slap, is that what you're saying?
It was
indeed.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing bitch about Macho. That was a pimp slap. But Savage goes back to check.
I
on
thought Elizabeth was a good girl. Now you're calling her a hoe because he was a pimp.
No.
Make up your mind.
No. So Savage goes back because Elizabeth is his wife. So he had a reason to go check on Elizabeth.
Pimps have turned out their wives before.
So Hogan gets a fluke victory over the Twin Towers.
Why is it a fluke?
Yeah.
I think so.
Why? Tell me why it's a
Because
fluke.
Hogan cheats. He's the dirtiest damn wrestler in the business.
Hulkamania was running wild in the 80s.
I've never seen somebody with so many eye rakes and back rakes and cheap shots.
You're delusional. What's in that Pepsi bottle?
He was trying to save somebody.
No, he was trying to get himself over.
Well, we could fast forward through all this and get right down to WrestleMania 5
Let's
and
do
the end
that.
result.
Although, I will admit, though, the promo Macho had before WrestleMania when he was doing the video montage of all of the transgressions, which really was what sealed it for me. It was probably
creative
It was
editing.
his best promo ever. When he took the glasses off, threw them up in the air, and he looked like Jay Lethal at the end of it.
Sounds like some TMZ reporting is what it sounds like to me.
I don't know about
Creative writing.
But so let's get into WrestleMania. Liz is in a neutral corner because she won't stand by her man Randy,
Because he's a control freak.
and because she's a gold digger. She's going with whoever wins the championship.
I mean, we could go back to Randy and George the Animal Steel, and Randy's always been a control freak. A little handsy on the ladies.
That primitive beast had no business
Little
getting
handsy.
involved with Elizabeth. I'm talking about George, not Hogan. But so the WrestleMania match, number one, that's I think my favorite Hogan match. It's just it might be one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. It's just everything about it was perfect. just bell to bell,
Yeah.
But
They worked well together.
They did.
They always have.
Oh, absolutely. But so it goes back and forth. Elizabeth gets shooed away because she's sticking her nose in business again, and every time Macho's trying to move towards Hogan, Elizabeth just jumped right in front of him. So Hogan would just pretend like he couldn't get the Savage. I think it was a ploy between the two of them to make Randy look bad. And at the end, Hogan gets the win because, cheating. What? And so that's the end of the meat of the Mega Powers explosion. I mean, they had a match at SummerSlam with Zeus and Brutus, and then I think they had a cage match in December. But as far as the actual
and then
explosion,
Randy left her on the side of the road like yesterday's news
Elizabeth
to go
made
with
her
crazy
Liz
Sherry.
made her choice. She picked Hogan.
And then all of a sudden, Randy's down in the dirt, and there's Liz to come back to.
Randy found a manager who could pull her own weight in the sensational Sherry Martel.
Yeah, until Randy was counting the lights at,
Hey, she led Macho to royalty. He was the king.
We will agree to disagree this until the end, but Hulk is the ultimate babyface. He will go down as, regardless of what anybody says about him negatively. We met him. We met him one time, and he was very nice. I mean, I was paying him, so, of course. But,
of course.
That's the... He was awesome. I'm a Hulkamaniac. I didn't appreciate him as much as a kid as I do now. Looking back, without Hulk Hogan, I don't think we have what we have. We don't have.
I think my wife is on the thread, and I can't see what she said, but I hope she's defending me.
She said, Dwayne Carter, I can't see the comment you tagged me in. I said, come get your husband. Yeah, that's right, Dwayne. He's off his meds.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hulkster is the ultimate babyface. I mean, all time. Hulk Hogan is not only the greatest babyface of all time, Hulk Hogan is the greatest heel of all time. But
I agree with.
But he is not the greatest wrestler of all time.
You want to. Come on.
That's our segue. That's our
Hulk
segue.
Hogan is the greatest wrestler to ever appear in a Rocky movie.
That's true.
Okay, I'll agree with that because I can't think of any other wrestlers.
We found a way for him to agree that Hulk might be good at something.
But he's not the greatest wrestler to appear in a Sylvester Stallone movie. That would be the great Terry Funk.
The Funker.
Terry Funk.
T-Funk?
And a
Paradise
couple of
Alley.
them. Yeah. Well, Over the Top.
Yeah, Over the Top. Scott Norton was in that too, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm segueing into our next comment.
I've said my piece. I stand by it. I don't know what Narge is thinking with this blind devotion to a
You got something to say? Kyler's got something to say. He's giving me the look.
He's got something to say.
Give me the Iggy, brother.
Get it to it.
I agree with you.
Aha!
Because a couple of minutes ago you said that Randy Savage was the king. I do agree with that. He was the king of selfish.
Yeah, brother, the king of selfish.
I think we found the guy with the best heat for the night tonight.
I think you've been coached, young man. I think your dad has been telling you.
I am
say
the
this.
Hayden Fox to
in
his
fact,
Luther Van
I've
Dam.
been watching Narge on his phone to make sure he's not texting answers to Kyler, and then I realized Kyler's phone's out front. Can't text him.
That's right.
That's right.
That was all straight from the mouth of babes. Thank you.
Yeah, yep. He can be taught. I'll work on that.
But like I said, greatest babyface, greatest heel, not the greatest wrestler of all time.
No. Okay, so this is a good segue because we've been talking all week. We're going to get into the discussion because we lost Tom Brady this past week. He announced his retirement.
We didn't
I
lose
thought
him.
you
Oh
meant
my
he
God.
died.
No.
Wait, we lost him now?
But no, Tom. So Tom retired, and Tom is basically going to go down as the GOAT of NFL quarterbacks. I think that's a given.
Anybody that disagrees with that, stop listening to the podcast, throw your phone in the fucking toilet,
No, don't stop
and
listening
end
to-
your life. Because if you don't think Tom Brady is the
Wait
greatest
until
quarterback
after-
ever,
Wait until after the show.
yeah, finish the episode. But after that, just end it. Just end it. Because
We are not encouraging our fans to commit.
I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm a Houston Texans. Well, I was till Deshaun
I'm
Watson.
sorry.
I'm a Titans fan. Over to my left, I have a Bears fan. To my right, I have a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan because he's lately become a Browns fan. And you know
He's
what
a
all of
Baker
us agree
fan.
on? Fucking Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's proven it with the rings, the yards, the passes, the people, everybody. And he also happens to be a fucking savage on Twitter when he needs to be. So If you don't agree with that, you just don't know shit about sports, and you should leave.
And I'm a person who I couldn't stand Tom Brady when he was in New England. Hated him.
No, I'm not a personal fan of him. I just know he deserves the title.
Well,
Respect the game.
No, and I agree that. When he went to Tampa Bay, I realized that I did not hate Tom Brady, that I hated Bill Belichick. And I absolutely love seeing Tom win. He's already hinted that never say never. He pulled a wrestling promo by saying never say never.
He'll be in the Rumble next year.
You give Tampa till about week 4 or 5, and their quarterback, whoever it may be, goes down.
Blaine Gabbert.
They're calling Tom. I guarantee all these teams will be calling Tom.
Do you think you and the wife would like to just have a few more months off from each other?
Hey, you know the funny meme that they've been showing it? They said if Tom really wants to go down as the GOAT, he's got to come to Dallas and win a Super Bowl. Yeah. If that goes down, do we call Tom?
I saw the one where he had to go to the Jets.
Well, the Jets would be the ultimate. But
so with that in mind, there's been a lot of talk going around asking who is the greatest of all time in professional wrestling history. And it's a tricky subject because, I mean,
there is one of the metrics. How do you measure it?
So I have criteria. It's funny that you ask.
Let's hear your criteria.
Well, that may change my opinion.
I've got my personal criteria here. You can use whatever you choose. Number 1, did they draw?
Okay.
You know, could they bring in?
Do people actually give a shit to watch them?
Exactly.
Okay.
Number 2, can they cut a promo?
Okay.
I think that's very important because that helps get the people into the.
So when you say cut a promo where you believe what they're doing, or cut a promo because they're so over the top, you're like, oh, that's fucking badass.
Yes.
Okay.
Both.
All right.
Number 3, did they have a compelling character? This is very important.
Yep.
Because Bob Backlund is not the greatest of all time because
yeah.
I love Bob Backlund, but he was very, very mundane, I think is the right word. The next one, were they good in the ring? Were they great in the ring? You know, kind of a no-brainer, you know. And finally, did they leave a lasting legacy in the business? Positive.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going off of. And
so those are your metrics?
That's my metrics.
So I got Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and Dwayne Johnson are in my top 5. I say top 5 because there are other people that, as the brain hits them, I'll say, oh, that guy was good. But those 3 names, as a non-wrestling guy, those are the 3 I'm like, those are good. John Cena would probably fit in that list.
There's an argument for all 4 of those.
Absolutely.
Not on my list.
No.
I mean, they're on my list, but they're not my top one.
Okay.
Right. The reason for that is, I mean, The Rock was great. Austin's great. They didn't have a really long run in the business. I mean, Austin was maybe 13 years. Dwayne was 6 years full-time before he started doing movies. And
yet every time he is introduced or people think he'll be in the building, numbers go up. That guy sells tickets more than any of them.
Here's the thing. With each one of these questions, I have a different person for that specific category.
Okay.
But the question is who
encompasses them all. Right.
So that brings me to 3 people. Number 1, Chris Jericho. He's proven he can draw an AEW. Obviously great in the ring. Obviously
he's proven he can pull in medium-sized clubs, too.
Great promo. He's been one of the guys that can change his character with the times, and every time he starts to get a little stale, he'll do a U-turn. He
figures it out, yeah.
That's right. And then lasting legacy, I mean, yeah, he's left a great legacy in the sport in 30-plus years. So he's on my list. Number 2, I have Triple H. I mean, how do you argue with Triple H? I mean,
and he's running or partly running part of the WWE.
He's kind of doing nothing.
He's
right now because of some, but I mean, in general, he's part of the fam.
He's part of the fam, yeah. But number 1, he drew as a heel. He drew as the world champion.
Oh yeah.
Always cut a good promo, even when he was doing a really bad French accent in WCW. As Jean-Paul Levesque, I believe it was.
Yep. Terrorizing.
Compelling character. I loved the game character when he had the Motorhead music and the Wet Hair Club and, you know, all that. It looked great.
The Wet Hair Club for men?
Yes. Great in the ring. There wasn't anybody better in the ring than him in the late 90s, early 2000s.
You were guaranteed to get a fantastic match out of Triple H.
Absolutely.
Regardless of who you were.
And no matter who he was in the ring with, he made them look like $1 million.
Oh, yeah. Whether it was somebody like Foley, who, you know, was a glorified stunt man.
Right.
Or, you know, Randy Orton, who there's an argument for Randy could be.
Did you just say woo?
Well, that's what Flair said about Foley. He was
a
glorified stuntman. But also, go back to the 06 Rumble, him with Mysterio. He was bumping like crazy for Mysterio.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. And then also the lasting legacy. The stuff he did with NXT before they took the rug out from under him shows what his legacy was. His legacy is all over AEW now because Tony wants to be Triple H. But so he's my second guy, and my third guy is Undertaker.
Oh.
Same deal. You look across the board.
Mike Carey just said he will buy you a drink the next time he sees you because he agrees. Right, Mike? By the way, he didn't say that. I'm putting words in his mouth, but he agrees. The Undertaker is his top dog.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, I mean, same deal with the character. I mean, my favorite character was the biker, the American Badass character. But he had the Western mortician.
That was my favorite, the OG Undertaker.
Right, the OG Undertaker.
Yep.
You got the dead man that he does now with the hat and the trench coat and everything. But my favorite was always the Badass because he looked the most realistic to me.
Yeah.
But good promo. I mean, still to this day, you put him on announce him for a show, it's going to draw. People are going to come. They want to see the Undertaker.
But you got to pick one.
If I'm picking one, I'm picking Undertaker. He's my guy.
There you go.
All right.
Kylar, let's hear from you.
Yes.
Your whole life you've done nothing but wrestling. Get in there and tell us your top 3 and who the best one of all is.
Ric Flair.
All right. Why? Because he says woo.
No.
No?
He was just really good in the ring, and yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll elaborate on that in a minute.
Who else?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Why?
So I do agree with that. He had pretty good gimmicks with the Hulkamania, plus with the NWO, all that and stuff.
Right.
And then Ultimate Warrior as well.
Oh.
Nice.
Wow. Hot take.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question, Kyler. Which did you prefer, red and yellow Hogan or Hollywood Hogan?
The good or the bad?
There, it's kind of hard. Because they're both kind of the same.
Right. See, I'm a Hollywood guy.
I like the Hollywood Hogan look, but I like the Hulkamania attitude, if that makes sense.
I liked it because the red and yellow got so stale by the time I got to WCW that the black and white was just such
That's
a
what I'm
great
saying.
change of pace.
So Hulk in his dark era, to me, looked more badass, was more badass, but I loved the happy energy behind Hulkamania. I love the fact that when he walked out, I mean, for a guy that was probably the last time I actually watched it, really, he walked out, and it was nothing but adoring fans, and most of them were children. And I thought that was amazing because he drew people in. He had a charisma that I don't think a lot of these guys have ever had when it comes to the youth of our country.
The thing with Hulk is, so we'll go to my list. Hulk Hogan is on there, and the reason I say that is he could work in the ring. He didn't have to work very hard, but he could. You know that.
Yeah, watch the stuff in Japan.
The fact that him switching from Hulkamania to Hollywood was one of the biggest game changers in professional wrestling, and he did it so well.
Yeah.
So, because for years, like you said, there was always these heelish undertones to Hulk Hogan. Bobby Heenan alluded to them all of the time, and Hulk just embraced them. Hulk embraced them. Yeah, Jesse, they all did. It's something John Cena, had he done it, could have really ran with it. I think WWE, was so worried about Make-A-Wish and making merch, they dropped the ball there with Cena. They really could have done something with that. So Hulk is definitely on my list as the greatest of all time. He's not number one.
Well, number one's on your arm.
He is. Number two, number two is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I say that. I don't think of anybody else. There's nobody who pushed merchandise more than Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember being in high school. It didn't matter where you went. Walmart, gas station, Disney. Somebody had an Austin 316 shirt on. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Not since Hulkamania.
Yeah, because it was 316 or NWO.
It was one of the two, and those are the two guys. But Austin, it was one of those where it was cool to be a wrestling fan all of a sudden. When I was younger, Hulk, Brett, Shawn, I was like, I like wrestling. I'm not going to tell anybody. But then it's also like, well, I'm a wrestling fan too, Yeah. And then you kind of found out that these folks had jumped on and didn't really have
It's kind of like when you see people with affliction. You see people with affliction shirts, you go, oh, you like UFC?
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to see a guy flip his boss off and kick his ass and say dirty words on TV?
Could work in the ring as a baby, could work in the ring as a heel, as a tweener. And I think Austin will go down as the one guy people have wanted to come back one more time more than anybody else. And he won't do it. He's sticking to it.
Did he blow out his knees or something? Is that what the story is?
Neck problems.
Neck problems. But he has said that he's in the best shape of his life. He could come back and do one more.
He won't.
But doesn't want to do it. And I think Shawn Michaels is the perfect example. Him coming back and doing the Saudi show. I think he realizes should have never have done that.
Yeah.
My number one is, yes, he's on my arm. It's Ric Flair.
or something
We
along
got some
those
buttons. There you go.
lines. The buttons don't work today on that machine.
Just turn the volume down again.
There you go. Now he's reading all the comments so he can see if anybody agrees with him.
Rick has transcended wrestling. I mean, he's a hip hop icon. I mean, there are rappers that love.
He's got a drip.
He's got the Ric Flair drip in the ring. There's nobody but who sold better than Ric Flair. Ric Flair, when he got color, I mean,
Yeah.
promos. Rick blows everybody else you've discussed in promos out the water.
Yeah. The only guy that I think could touch, well, two
Dusty
guys,
Rhodes.
Dusty and Piper.
Yeah.
That's the only two that could touch Flair.
And the problem with Dusty and Piper is I don't think they were as marketable. They didn't, Dusty had his career been a little longer, I think. He peaked soon. Piper's a guy, though, that every time he came back, people were interested in him.
Yeah. But everybody loved Dusty, though.
Yeah.
No matter, like, when he was in Florida, when he went to Crockett, then...
Him coming back to ECW.
Oh,
I
I
just
love
seen
that.
it the other day with him and Carino.
Oh, he was so good.
That was one of the smartest things he ever done
Yeah.
to become relevant again. I wish he'd have had a longer deal with them.
Yeah.
But he was there to get Carino over, and he did a good job.
He made
of
him,
it.
yeah. That bull rope match?
Oh, yeah. But Ric Flair, I mean, he carried an entire company on his back. He came over to WWE at 92. Ric Flair is one of the best Ric Flairs of all time. I mean,
that's the one on your
talked
arm.
the Rumble. Yeah, it's the one on my arm. Well, this is not the Rumble one. We've talked about this. This is the
That's
WrestleMania
Show me the pictures.
9.
Flair.
Or 8 in Indy.
Ocho.
This is after he loses to Savage,
Right.
at the end.
So if I've heard all this correctly, Hulk Hogan is on 3 of ours list. Stone Cold is on our 2. Ric Flair is on your 2.
Yep.
Right? And so
Mark went outside the box
my,
here. I
my
really
choice
didn't
of
expect.
The Rock was outside of everybody's boundaries, but your 3 didn't match anybody else's.
There's an argument for The Rock.
Here's
though.
the thing. There's an argument for everybody
Yeah.
we've mentioned here. And that's the beauty of this topic is
mentioned
there is
Sting.
there's no wrong answer in this discussion.
AJ Styles.
You ask anybody. You ask 20 different people, you'll probably get 20 different answers for who the greatest of all time is.
Sounds to me like it's The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and Stone Cold are the top 4. And you can put them in a juice, in a blender and twist them out however you want. They'll
You know
all
what?
come
If
out.
we had somebody here maybe 10 years older than Kylar, John Cena would be on this list.
Well, that's what I said. I said Cena.
yeah.
He was like my 4th guy if I
And
had to pick.
but Cena's more your 10.
Contemporary.
He's an 18-year-old, 20-year-old kind of guy.
Right.
Where with us, we're past that. But Cena would easily be.
I mean, there's definitely a case for Cena. just
If
for
Andrea
everything.
Lynch was here, it's John Cena.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Easily.
Easily. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I want to hear from our humble listeners, everybody on the comment thread or even just on.
We got Dwayne,
We got,
Hogan, Flair, and The Undertaker.
Okay.
So we have more Hogan, more Flair, and an extra Undertaker.
Dwayne, who's your number 1 out of those 3?
He says he hates Hollywood. Well, whatever.
Well, he's supposed to.
He says if Cena turned heel, that would have been the biggest heel turn since Hogan.
I would agree with
I would
that.
not disagree with that. I know enough. I know about
I
Cena.
agree with that, definitely.
Minnie Elam says she's going to agree with Dusty and Piper. Dwayne said Piper should have been a world champion. Minnie Elam then said Undertaker is
Piper
great.
was in WCW.
No.
Oh,
thought he
Dwayne's
did
top
he-
2 are Hogan and Flair.
Every time he beat Hogan, it was a non-title.
Was it?
Yeah.
Brandon Hayes says, and I got to roll back, he says Ric Flair number 1, no question.
Ooh.
So it sounds to me like if we just kind of informally did data science on this, Ric Flair probably is going to be the consensus, and Hulk Hogan's going to be right there.
Yeah. I still like.
And I get the Undertaker,
for
and
it, though.
Undertaker's right there.
Yeah.
I would say those 3 are the consensus between everybody.
I'll tell you a guy who always gets mentioned in this conversation, even though none of us mentioned him, is Shawn Michaels. If you just go back to his stuff in the 90s.
More so than Brett.
I say more so than Brett, definitely.
Brett was not as marketable, I don't think. That Brett was he was available.
Yeah.
Brett was great in the ring.
Yeah.
But I don't think he connected with. He was a better heel than a babyface.
Oh, he's great. I love the Heart Foundation
Yeah.
stuff in '97. Which what do you think was better, Michaels in the '90s or Michaels when he came back in '02?
Oh, I thought 90s. I thought the original DX Michaels was my favorite. Even before, not the original, not once he dropped Jannetty and all that. I like
Right.
the original
Heartbreak
DX
Kid.
build Michaels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As good as he was in like '02 to 2010, which he was, because he was putting on some of the best matches of his career. Just the stuff he did in like '95, '96 was great.
Just the promos, the smarminess, I mean, he was so he really believed it. That's why so many people hated Shawn Michaels.
Right.
He believed everything that he was.
Granted, he was politicking like crazy in the mid-'90s, and I haven't seen his Spread and Play Girl magazine, so I don't know how that was. But that's neither here nor there.
If anybody has that, please send it to Mark Redmond immediately.
No.
Send it to him on Facebook.
You mispronounced Orsted. Mark Orsted wants that.
Send it to him in his Facebook Messenger. Send it to his wife to make sure in case his messenger
He's
breaks.
got to add it to his.
He's
got to add it to the Burt Reynolds folder.
He was very hirsute.
My mustachioed friends.
All right, so like I said, with our posts we put up on our Facebook page, go on there, tell us who you think the GOAT is. I love all the interaction on the thread with that. So we're going to kind of put that out into the ether. We're going to move on. We got our Top 10 Tuesday this week. And then we're going to cut it a little short this week because Marko really wants to watch the Illini game.
ILL.
NESS.
That's right.
There you go.
But that's true, yeah. And I do, too.
We're playing against a number 4 team in the country, and if we win this, we
Dwayne wants to know where you
cred.
put Ricky Steamboat.
Steamboat I put in my top 5 baby faces of all time. He's not in the GOAT conversation because he never worked heel.
No, and again, I don't think he was as marketable. He's not out. I don't think he's a guy that sells merch. He's not pushing the needle.
Go back to '89 when he feuded with Flair. Flair looked like he was having the time of his life with all the women and the fur coats and everything. And then Steamboat's coming in as the family man. He's very much the family unit with the wife and the baby and being very clean cut. So I think a lot of fans were turned off by that.
Yeah.
And that's why Flair got the big pop when he won the title back from him.
Well, people want something more edgy, and that's where
Mike
Sting
Carey
came
seems
in.
to be disappointed that no Honky Tonk Man mentions were made.
Oh, Honky.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
That's right. Diamond Dallas Page was his chauffeur.
Yeah, it was his caddy, right, at 6.
Yeah, his pink Cadillac.
Yep.
Top 10 time.
All right, so we're doing our
Mark, what's the topic?
So on the GOAT topic, we're going greatest of all time for something different, which is tag team finishing moves, which is it doesn't have to be a great tag team, but just good tandem offense.
Did the pit stop make it on here?
The pit stop did not make it on here.
Sorry,
by
Kylar.
the Dudley Boys.
Sorry, Kyler.
Well, I
bet the
say
Dudley
with that
Boys
note,
are
we're
on
just
here.
done here if it didn't make
The
it.
pit stop, Marko, was when one of the Nasty Boys would take his opponent head first right into the armpit.
That would stop me, too.
Yeah, like this, Kyler. Come here.
Easy. So we're gonna go from 10 to 1, and I'm kind of gone the gamut from like present day to the 80s on this. So I'm gonna start with number 10, and I'm going with the Magic Killer, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows.
I like it.
It's just a good, effective finish, and it's kind of a time-tested one for Anderson. He used it with Tom Cohen, with Giant Bernard, who's Albert in Japan. And then when Gallows came over, he just moved it over to their team. And now, like the GOD's using it, Girls of Destiny, and Sonata and Evil use it. So it's a very effective and respected tag team finish. And it gets a lot of respect, and not a lot of people kick out of it. But yeah, so that's my number 10. Number 9, I've got this is kind of an odd one. I got the Sidewinder by the Smoking Guns.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? That's the side suplex with the top rope leg drop.
That's right, yep.
It just when you're a kid watching, it just looks really cool.
I saw him do it last. I was watching an old episode of Superstars last night, and I was just so impressed that Billy Gunn is still we're almost 30 years later, and is still doing his thing.
Built like a brick shit house.
He is, yeah, it's crazy.
They're doing more with him than they are with Christian.
They are, yeah, and
It's the Ass Boys phenomenon.
Boys. They're cursed.
And on an off note, I heard that the Guns are trademarking the Ass Boys, which I don't like because it kills the mystique of them hating it.
Well, see, yeah, it does. I watched The Acclaimed added the Ass Boys in the rap, and they're still playing it off like they hate it, in the ring, which is great. The Acclaimed, I love The Acclaimed.
I'm just waiting for the inevitable Danhausen Ass Boys feud.
It's coming. Yep,
it's got to come. All right, number 8. I got the Death Sentence, America's Most Wanted in TNA.
Oh yeah,
the old trash compactor the Midnight Express used to use. It's the bear hug with also top rope leg drop. It's just the leg drop is such a good component to any double team, But the one that I remember is AMW against Triple X, which was Chris Daniels and Elix Skipper in the steel cage, and James Storm would do the bear hug, and then Chris Harris would come off the top rope with the leg drop. Harris did it off the top of the cage.
Those guys, I mean, they tore it. Was that the same match where Skipper walked the?
That's actually a different one. That was their second cage match.
Yeah, those guys. I mean, they tore it up in the early days of Impact.
I don't think in the 2000s there wasn't a better tag team in the world than America's Most Wanted, in my opinion.
Biggest mistake there was
Braden Walker.
Yeah, Braden Walker. he went to grab that money and
then he spent it all on cheeseburgers. He let himself go.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, James Storm, he weathered the storm, and I mean he was still.
And he got himself over. Did the beer money thing with Rude, so he made apples out of
he really did
lemonade. All right, number 7, the Heart Attack, Heart Foundation. The Anvil with the big bear hug and Hitman take his head off with the clothesline.
Yeah. That still gets some use today. Natty likes to bust that out every now and then with whoever she's teaming on, that Friday. So
I liked it when Tyson and Davey Jr. used to do that with the Hart Dynasty.
Oh yeah,
because Tyson did it with the springboard, so they put a little twist on it. Number 6, one of my very favorite tag team, the Steiner Brothers, Top Rope Bulldog.
Oh yeah, the Steiners were just so legit. It was nice to see Braun Breaker bust out the Top Rope Bulldog at NXT.
Yeah, he did a few of Uncle Scotty's moves. Did the Frankensteiner, the Steiner Recliner.
Yeah, he's something to watch, man. He's definitely maybe my favorite NXT guy right now.
Oh yeah, I agree. But I'm going to the Squared Circle Expo in April in Indianapolis, and they announced the Steiners are going to be there.
Yeah, you sent that to me, and that's honestly, next to Sammy Guevara, maybe the other big name. I've met Scotty a few years ago, and he was all right. But I'd like to meet them both. I think it'd be cool. So
yeah, I have belts I need signed. So. All right, number 5, just a tried and true tag team move, the Spike Pile Driver, made famous most recently by FTR, but the Brainbusters, the Horsemen used to do that.
It makes me nervous as hell now when they get Tully up there. Yeah. I'm waiting for Tully to blow a knee like Sid or an ankle.
It's just such a simple move, Pile driver, just push him down.
Yep.
I mean, granted, that's the move that broke Taz's neck in '95.
Excuse me.
But when Malenko and Scorpio did it to him, but it's just a good one and done finish,
Oh yeah.
All right, one of my favorites, number 4. This is one of my favorite moves, not the greatest, but one of my favorites. The Powerplex, Power and Glory.
I was wondering where they were at on the list.
Hercules,
I knew they had to be here.
And Paul Roma, the Superplex Big Splash combo. It looks so fluid when they did it.
There's a couple guys that use that now. I don't know.
FTR.
FTR is one of them. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Kings of Wrestling, Chris Hero and Claudio Cesaro. They used to do a version with Hero doing a moonsault instead of a big splash. Back in
that's
the day.
Cool.
Yeah, and I could watch the Kings all the time.
I knew that. Yeah.
Kings reign supreme.
Those are your guys. Yep.
Kings and the Briscoes in 2010. Great feud.
Hero, is he a Ring of Honor guy? Is that not a Hall of Famer?
He was a Ring of Honor guy. I don't know if Hall of Famer for
what about
Hero.
Cole Cabana?
Cabana, I could see going Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. Hero, just Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be in next year's class for
Makes
that.
sense.
Okay, number 3. I got the Big Rig, FTR, the old Shatter Machine from WWE days.
Yep, I love that move.
Such a simple
Fantastic.
move.
Yep.
Just, old-fashioned lung blower, and same deal. Nobody kicks out of it, which goes a long way with me with the finish, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's got to be effective.
Yeah. What do you think, Kylar? Is that Big Rig a good one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's talking about Shatter Machine, FTR, where they throw them up and they drop them on their knee.
Oh, yeah.
You and Murray do that to Baker, right?
No.
No, it's more like the other way
Baker
around.
and Murray do it to Kylar.
Well, Kylar can protect himself and take a bump. All right, number 2, and this might get me in trouble here. But I'll wait till Narge gets off the phone.
Go ahead.
The Road Warriors, Doomsday Device.
Dwayne said that should be number 1.
Number 1, yeah.
Ordinarily, I would agree, but there's one better.
Nah, I know which one it is.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
But-
and I agree with you, actually.
But the Doomsday Device always looks so cool, especially the old days when the guy would flip off of his shoulders instead of...
Oh, yeah.
Later on, it would be Animal would go down with him and protect him a little bit. But back in the 80s, they didn't give a shit.
No, yeah, there's some guys that landed pretty
Henry
pretty
Godwin,
flush.
I think, was the last guy to take it the original way because he broke his neck.
I remember that, yep.
Yeah, when you're a 300 20-pound guy, you don't want to be landing on your head from 6 feet in the
Trying
air.
to do backflips, yeah.
No. And I was a big fan of the Godwins as a tag team, too. But
So, Dwayne, your number one is now a number two?
yes. And still a great move, but yeah, there's one better. Number one, it's kind of a no-brainer for me, the Dudley Death Drop.
Yep, the 3D.
The 3D from the Dudley Boys. Same deal. The most protected tag team finisher in the history of the business. Only kicked out of one time. And that was by the Machine Guns in Team 3D's last match before they had split up and gone their separate ways. And the last match they had was against the Motor City Machine Guns, and Sabin kicked out of the 3D. And that was the basis for the breakup. Like afterwards, Bubba turned on Devon because Devon didn't do the move right.
Yeah.
And they kept repeating the phrase. They kicked out of our finish. That was the beef. So
I don't know that Brandon agrees with this because he also wondered what was better than the Doomsday.
3D baby.
3D Dudley's.
What about the rocket launcher, Midnight Express?
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
I was going to mention the total elimination from the Eliminators.
Oh, I do love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I could have put that instead of the Sidewinder if I had thought about it. But there was a story Bubba told. You remember the Concrete Crypt match in the Great American Bash? Undertaker against the Dudleys?
Yeah.
I guess they had offered Taker to let him kick out of the 3D. Like they said, if you want to kick out of 3D, go ahead. And they'd give him their blessing. And Taker said that he wouldn't do it because they worked too hard to protect it. So he didn't want to do that to him.
It's Undertaker doing business the right way.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's the Dudleys doing business the right way. They put themselves out there, and because they know Taker's the bigger star and he's the one getting over. But Taker didn't have to do that. He could have easily said, "Oh yeah, I'll just sit up," and you know. But yeah, so that's our list, top 10. And I know a lot of people think the Doomsday is going to be number one. So just kind of chime in on the Facebook. And
for those of you that listen on Podbean or Apple Podcasts or all the other distribution channels that don't get to listen to us live but do listen to us, please find us on Facebook, find the stream, add your comments, message us, do whatever. We want to make sure everybody feels included. We've been doing this live thing for about, I think it's been about 10 episodes now.
Yeah.
About 10 episodes, and we love it.
Yes.
But, you know, we also have the podcast for everybody else out there.
You know what finisher I like right now? Just off topic is the Throne of Black or the Kings of the Throne.
The pop up into the power slam.
Yeah, the toss cool. to the. I like that.
The Kings of the Black Throne, or as the graphics department says, the Knights of the Black Throne.
That's one I do enjoy.
I like that tag team. Yeah. Brody and Black.
So, I think Julia Hart's coming over soon.
I would imagine.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna call it an episode now. But before we go, guys, last minute, who's winning the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm hoping the Rams do because I think Matt Stafford toiled away in Detroit long enough and deserves the ring. I believe that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are a good team, and I believe that they will eventually get there. But Stafford's getting to the point where get him a ring. That way, if he wants to go out on top, he can.
Right.
Burrow will be back.
Yeah. Kylar?
Bengals, because they have Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon, and then their kicker, McPherson or whatever it is.
Kickpherson.
Yeah, that kid there is impressive.
Had missed.
Yeah, he's automatic.
Yep.
Him and Robbie Gould.
Yeah.
Narge?
I agree with Kyler. Yeah, I mean it's Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty.
Joe Shiesty.
Him and Jamar Chase. That's the 1-2 punch that they're hoping to someday be like Rodgers and Adams.
Right.
And they're damn close. But I got to go Bengals.
Well, I hope they're not like them because those guys only won one Super Bowl.
That's right. I'm with you. I'm saying it's going to be the Bengals. Just love for Brian Pillman, and I love seeing teams win their first. And I guarantee if the Bengals win the Super Bowl on Sunday, we are in store for a manic Monday in Cincinnati the day after.
They've already canceled school. Valentine's Day, school is canceled in Cincinnati as of right
is
now.
it?
Yeah. Canceled it ahead of time just in case.
Cincinnati is for lovers, after all.
You know what I thought was funny real quick is Odell Beckham actually put Joe Burrow over. He said something about Joe Burrow wearing Cartier glasses and stuff, said Joe's just so cool. So when your star receiver, one of your star receivers, puts over the court, I don't know, is that a good look? You know.
Well, it's better than going on a yacht before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's not doing that no more, is he?
I hope not.
Odell and Cup, that's a dangerous combo, though.
Yes.
Better
So
than
I'm
going to Cabo, but the playoffs are about to start. Tony Romo. Next episode, we may have a guest host, AJ. He will be in town.
Yeah,
so-
AJ is back
Styles?
in town.
Yeah, right.
AJ Lee.
He thinks he's got styles.
better.
But if he doesn't have the ability to, we are looking for Dwayne or Brandon or Minders or even you, Mike Carey. If somebody wants to come on and get into the feisty modes with us, that'd be great. Just let us know.
2 weeks? Yeah, what's coming up after? I mean, we'll talk Saudi show, maybe
we'll
Revolution.
Talk Saudi, we'll talk Revolution, probably. We'll talk GCW.
Yep. Oh, we always talk GCW.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about, I think. And
We may have some guests lined up down the road. Mark's working
I'm-
hard. He's the email
I'm working on it. I
blowing
mean,
up.
hopefully in the next month or two we'll have some big names, and we might have something to throw out to our listeners. We'll have a little discussion amongst the group here, and then if that happens, we'll put it out on our socials. So keep an eye out. But until
Narge wants to give you guys a pair of his well-worn sweat socks.
yes, the Bombas.
Yeah.
All right, Kylar, you're with us again, so why don't you
Yeah.
push that little YouTube of yours for everybody to hear
Yes.
about it one more time, brother?
Make sure to subscribe to the Narge Voyage, and make sure to follow the Jumping the Rail podcast.
Listen to this kid. He's a salesman.
He's a shilling machine. All right, so for Marko on the Wheels of Steel, for Narge, for Kylar, this is Redmond. We'll see you in 2 weeks. See you guys later.